mute button.
Yeah, we're live now. At least I think we're live. You never know. Check 1, 2. Is this thing on? What about this guy right here? Yeah, there we go. There we go. Awesome.
Well, now I have to sit like this to make it work.
Well, I can move you around. Get where you're comfortable, and I'll just move you.
Well, I'll be moving around anyway. I
That's
don't
true.
sit still.
That's true. We're going to give you the full screen most of the time anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, and then most of the time it'll be more like this.
Exactly.
Instead, so.
Exactly. All right, let's see. Tommy's
Gotta
here.
remember which keyboard I'm on.
Dan's here.
Well, we're
Herman's
all in
here.
trouble if Tommy's here.
Yeah. Chris is here. Let's see who else. Kyle is here. And we'll see how folks kind of pile in. I went ahead and started the live streams. And Kenny's here. There's Kenny. All right. Very good. Have you got the social up where you can see it, Dave? The chat?
Not yet.
Okay.
I'll pop it up over there on the right.
All right. Very good. Very good. Dave, what I thought we'd do is, we'll start as normal. Where is this? Oh, I see. That's that screen right there. Let's see if we can just minimize that and do something else with it. There we go. That'll be a little better. I'll start out with the monologue, do some business, and then introduce you. And then the show will be over. So pretty simple plan. Yep, I think we've lost Dave. he's out
Oh
there
no, I just
somewhere.
mutated while I'm fumbling around over here. He's in the ether.
He's in the
He's
ether.
been picked up by the Nvidia. I've been picked up by the Nvidia police.
Yep.
Uh-oh. Buffered
Well,
on Facebook.
Wendy's here. Marie's here. Clint's here. Welcome, Marie. I appreciate your post last night. That was very very helpful, very revealing. It wasn't that kind of revealing, guys. Sorry, didn't mean that. That was the wrong sense of word flop out there. It wasn't Tommy. It was not revealing at all. It was. She was. I'll just shut my mouth right now. There's no way for me to dig out of that hole. Yep. No way. Yeah, did we lose Dave again? Yeah, we did. So we've got an exciting announcement today that we'll have as part of the show that I think, I don't know. I think you'll be interested. John's here. Welcome. Glad to have you. And we've got, let's see, we've got 3 minutes and 15 seconds. So we got to make good use of that time. I am hoping that the live stream, that the show opening is going to work the way it's supposed to. I haven't tested that. Too late to test it now, I guess. Yeah, that's right. You and I were hanging out, having a good time. That was the beauty of it.
We were scrambling, Tom. That's what we were doing. As usual. Pre-show scramble.
A pre-show scramble. All right, let me scramble one thing, and I'm going to raise you up a little higher in your spot there, Dave.
Well, I might sit up. You never know.
Well, if you sit up and you lean forward, you mess up everything. So
I know. Well, you're just going to have to put me up there.
Yeah. Well, no. Sit back where you're comfortable. Well, let's just move you up just a little bit. Can't move you up too much because I don't have any much space in the bottom there.
That's right. It's fine.
We'll do that.
It's fun and dandy.
Okay. All right. And let me just go ahead and save this preset one more time just to be on the safe side. Very good. Very good. Very good. Very good. Yes, Marie, thank you. Yes. I knew it was a public post, but I didn't want to say it, and I'm happy you did. And you are in our thoughts and, more importantly, in our prayers. Indeed. All right, Nick's here. Welcome, Nick. Glad to have you. Good to see you, or be seen by you, as the saying goes. So, pretty exciting subject today. Not going to get into it right now because we don't have any time. We're going to start the show in just a second. But I really, Dave, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you being on the show today. Good things happen when you're on the show.
Bad news.
Bad news. Do you use any VST3 plugins in vMix?
I played around with them and done a few things with them, but not normally.
I'll tell you one that I just love is it's the ones from Waves Audio called NS1.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And it takes out the traffic noise. It takes out the server noise. It even takes out the AC noise. And they had it on sale, I think last week. It was on sale for half price or 2/3 off or something ridiculous like that. Highly recommended. Highly recommended. All right. Well,
so you're saying I should have some plugins? Is that what you're telling me? And that's the specific one.
Well, the fact that you're jockeying your audio off and on tells me that you feel like there's too much background noise for the show for my purposes, and I appreciate that. But I think the NS1 might help you not have to do that. Yep. All right.
Well, it's just me fumbling around, usually knocking things over and kicking stuff. So I don't know if the NS1 would help that or not.
Well, it might. I downloaded it, installed it while I was in the car last week because there was so much car noise and there was an annoying little hum because I was just using my Samsung cell phone headset. And somewhere it picked up a hum from something, and the NS1 took it right out. It was great. It was kind of a multi-purpose kind of deal. Kenny has tried the VST plugins.
Yeah, a lot of the guys have. I've seen them talking about it. There you go. I've seen a lot of people talking about the NS1s and stuff, but I just never wanted to spring for the dough. But I guess they'll have a big sale again at Christmas time, like they did last year. So I might. We'll see how it goes. And plus, I've had this cough. So I just set it up as just a mute button versus just a cough button. So
Gotcha.
Didn't want to blow your ears out here with it.
I appreciate that. Maggie said she brought brownies. I don't see any brownies. Maybe I misunderstood.
Are there any stems? Are there any stems in those brownies, Maggie? Or seeds?
I know not of what you speak.
I know you don't. But you can imagine.
I can't imagine. I can remember that far back. Whew, that was a different century, at least. All right. Well, enough of this idle chit chat. Let's put Dave on mute, and let's see if we can start the show with a show button. So here we go. Well, hello and welcome. I'm Tom Sinclair. This is Streaming Idiots. You've arrived at the end of the internet. Yes, you have. It is for sure. It's certified. And I have a statement from the IRS to say that such is true. We're talking about live streaming today. In fact, we talk about live streaming every day. We are, and this is a shameless plug for this show because you're already watching it. We are the longest continually running live streaming show about live streaming in the world, in all of history, because we're continuously running, because we never can, we believe it or not, you just can't say everything. Eventually there's more that has to be said. So we're delighted that you have graced us with your presence today, Rick. Welcome, sir. And for those of you that don't know, we do have a chat room. If you're watching us on Facebook, for example, if you're on the Eastern Shore Broadcasting page, there's a chat there that we can respond to. But if you're on the Streaming Idiots group, we can't see that one from vMix. So come on over to easternshorebroadcasting.com, click the Watch Live tab, and that will get you where you need to be, which is here, plus you'll have the chat down there, and you can pop out the video or the chat, put it anywhere you want to. And Maggie's here. Maggie brought brownies today, so everybody enjoy Maggie's brownies. She said, oh no, she didn't bring them. She said she's just going to eat them. Well, unless you brought enough for everybody, you can't do that. Really excited about our guest today that I'm going to introduce to you in just a second, but I'm also really excited because I got this package in the mail Monday, and it was from Las Vegas. And I thought, well, what am I getting from did I leave something at NAB last year? And they're just now getting around to sending it to me. And so and it was something from some marketing company or printing company. And I thought, what in the world could it be? And I opened it up, and it was 100, not just a couple of dozen, but 100 brand new vMix mouse pads. And the chroma key. Can I turn off the chroma key for just a second? Can I do that? Let's just turn off the chroma key for just a second so you can get the full feel of this. Off with the chroma key. There we go. And this is the new vMix mousepad. And as you can see, the sun setting there over Mobile Bay. And on shore, you see Dan, the vMix, one of the vMix mascots. And then right next to Dan, that's right, it's Rooney. Yes, so Rooney has hit the big time. Rooney is now on a vMix mousepad. And you can get one of these mouse pads by simply sending me a note. You can send it to I want a mousepad at vmix.com, and that will get you a mousepad. If you're in the States, you have to be in the U.S. Or you can send it to me, Tom at easternshorebroadcasting.com, and say, you have to say nice things about me. This is definitely a suck-up type of deal. You have to suck up to me big time. No, but it would be nice if you shared, what you're doing with vMix, how are you using it, and we'll probably post that somewhere as just kind of as a sample of what folks are doing. So if you want a Rooney and Dan vMix mousepad with a beautiful Mobile Bay sunset in the background, then and actually the dinosaur, Rooney has a friend Jack Russell Terrier named Jake, and Jake didn't make it into this. So when I sent Tim a note and told him that these were here, Tim said just to tell Jake that's him right there, the dinosaur. So Jake the dinosaur in the background with Dan and Rooney in the foreground. It is a limited edition. There are just 100 of them. Well, 99 now. And you can get yours by sending a note to I want a mousepad at vmix.com or Tom at easternshorebroadcasting.com. Either way, you got to get one. It's a limited edition. Yep, you got to get one. And if you happen to be overseas, if you'll send your request to I want a mousepad at vmix.com, they will supply you from their international headquarters in Australia. We're just the U.S. kind of the U.S. distributorship for mousepads here. I do want to give a shout out to Ashley and to Rick. We're just finishing up a PC for Rick on the workbench here. You're going to love it, man. It's a screamer. And we're just starting out on Ashley's today. So Ashley, we hope to have that up and running by the weekend, and testing. We'll burn it in over the weekend and get it going. and then we'll see about shipping time, but it'll probably be next week. It'll be less than the normal 2 weeks. And then a shout out to Colby. Colby has a really cool show that she does and has just brought her show into her home studio and asked us to help work with her on getting her vMix set up in that home studio so that she can do a live show. In fact, her first live show is tomorrow. So big shout out to Colby on that. And if you're thinking about a home studio or a small studio in your business, rather than search the internet and maybe get what you need, I'd be happy to consult with you. We can have a conversation about it that won't cost you anything. And if you want us to go further in that and help you procure equipment or help you with setup or training or any part of that, we can do that. And I think you'll find our rates are very reasonable and our advice is pretty darn solid. So, and the other full disclosure is, Streaming Idiots is sponsored by Eastern Shore Broadcasting. That's my company. We build and design PCs for live streaming. We also are a supplier for vMix, supplier for PTZ Optics, supplier for X Keys. We had a great show about X Keys 2 weeks ago. If you missed it, it was basically how to control multiple PTZ cameras with the X Keys joystick. And in fact, thank you, Maggie. We just got the new ones. It's out of reach. We got the little XK24 footprint. It's really an XK12, but it's got a joystick in it. So if you don't need a lot of buttons, we've got those. Those are in our store at easternshorebroadcasting.com. We'd love to have you take a look at those. And we'll be doing another, probably a more in-depth tutorial on how to set that up. So if you already have the X-Keys joystick and some PTZ Optics cameras or PTZ cameras that can be controlled by vMix, we'll show you how to make all that work. It's really pretty cool, and a lot of fun. I can see folks are already in the chat sending emails. You can't put your address in the chat. There's no telling what you'll get in the mail if you put your address in the chat. Tommy will send you some hog jowls and chitlins from Tallahassee, Alabama. But you don't want to do that. Otis is here. Hey, Otis, glad to have you. And I want to bring in today's guest because I'm really excited about what we have going today. So today's guest is Dave Edwards. And pay no attention to that. There we go. And Dave is a longtime vMixer and a longtime live streamer. And in fact, his professional gig is with the Worldwide Streaming Network, which used to be called WSN at WSN.live. But his other gig is with the World of Live Streaming, WOLS, World of Live Streaming. So we're delighted to bring Dave into the show today. Welcome, Dave. Glad to have you.
Glad to be here, Tom. I think you've got everybody all excited about some illegal activities going on today. I'm not real sure how it's going to pan out, but
I don't know that they're illegal. I mean, really, they're not illegal. I mean, it's not against the law, is it? Are we? We're not violating a copyright. We're not violating a patent or a trademark. We're not selling something that belongs to somebody else and getting money for it. We're just getting notoriety and fame. Right?
And they want a piece of the action.
And they want a piece of the fame. Well, I tell you what, if they're offended or if they're upset that we've hacked the Nvidia chipset on your Nvidia graphics card, then they're welcome to come on the show, and I'll give them all the fame and fortune that the show will provide. So Dave, if you're running vMix, vMix prefers the Nvidia chipset graphics card. Years ago, the minimum was the 750, and then it was the 950, and then it was the 1050, and now it's the 2050 is kind of the minimum in that set. And the card itself had a limitation built into it, regardless of whether it was a 1050 or 70 or 80 or whatever the card was. It basically allowed vMix to have access to 2 encoders. And so you could use one encoder for your live stream and one encoder for your recording, or you could use 2 for your live stream and none for your recording. I mean, you had to figure out how you were going to use those 2 encoders. But you and other people have figured out how to unlock the key that guards the encoder farm and let all the little encoders out. He chuckles. He chuckles like, yeah. But the idea is that all of a sudden, probably depends on the strength of the card. And it probably depends on CUDA cores and RAMs and things like that. We'll have to test some more in the future to see what the limitations are. But the idea is that you can have not 1, not 2, but maybe 3, 4, even 5 encoders or more that can do stream number 1, stream number 2, stream number 3, recording number 1, maybe even getting into the multi-quarter. I mean, the possibilities begin to expand so that all of a sudden you're not crushing the CPU, you're offloading even more. vMix does a great job of that already, offloading stuff to the graphics card. But now we're talking about offloading even more to the graphics card so that you can continue to use your 2nd generation i7 on into the future. You sound skeptical.
Well, I mean, it depends on a lot of things, but yeah, we can multiply the number of encoding sessions that you can run simultaneously, and then you can crack the whip, and snap the reins, and see what your mileage ends up being.
Okay, so everybody's mileage might be a little different.
Might be. Well, it definitely will. Okay. Various encoding chips have more capacity than other chips, and you kind of want to. We'll show a little benchmarking piece as we do this, so you can get a sense of how well your card is doing at a certain number of encoding sessions running simultaneously. We'll do some concurrent testing in a little bit and show you how to check it out, because we're going to be using FFmpeg to do that with. Right. And it's a script that somebody put together. We'll run that. It'll show you how well it's running, and you can determine how many sessions you want to try in vMix to see how well it does for you after that, once you have a kind of a general sense of where you might stand.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So you got to have an Nvidia graphics card. It can be manufactured by anybody that manufactures graphics cards using the Nvidia chipset. We're not talking about the AMD or the ATIs or any of those. It's just the Nvidias. So do you have to take the card out of the PC in order to do this hack, Dave? You don't have to take it out.
Not at all.
Okay.
It only takes a couple minutes. It takes longer to download the driver, the standard Nvidia driver, than it does to actually do the patching. We're patching a couple of DLLs. There are DLLs. This is a whole project that's been going on. It's been going on for a while. It's on GitHub, and let me pop this up here, Tom, if you don't mind, and I'll show people where it's located. It's out on GitHub out here, and really all you need to do is Google NVIDIA-patch, and you'll get a GitHub hit. And when you go to that page for the patch, it'll bring you to this page here. Keylace. I don't know who Keylace is. Keylace is the genius. He's from Moscow, so that might, turn you off or cause all kind of problems depending upon where you live and what you believe and all that stuff. But I got no problem with it myself. He's a member of Cloud Playout, but at some point he developed this project with other people, and what they were trying to do was to run Plex media servers at home and have as many encoding sessions going as possible. And there's a paper, I found it at one point by reading through some of this stuff, and there's a document that was published a long time back where it shows that the encoding chips that are on the high-end Quadro and greater cards are the same chip that's on the GTX and late GT, or early GT, early or late, because like the Geforce 8600 GT, you can't do anything with that, but you can start with like the GT 600 and 700 series, and you can work with those with the patch. But it shows that it's the same chip, and the only difference is that the driver is throttling your capabilities, because why give you everything that comes with a Quadro card if you can just get a half price GTX card, or maybe even save even more money than half. So that's what this was put out here for. It was for Plex server users to have more than a single encoder, and it started on Linux, and that's where it really got its roots and got to start. And so when you go to this page, you have to scroll down a ways into the Nvidia patch section from the README file, and then just a little ways down in here it says main target operating system GNU Linux. Then it says, but for Windows support, see Win, and that is a hot link right there. You click that link, Win, and it brings you to this page, which has the Windows stuff in it. And there's a bunch of things listed here at the beginning of it. Don't worry about any of this. We'll get to any of the files that we're going to need in another manner. Just move on down into the Nvidia drivers patch section in here, and actually they've discovered something else besides the Nvidia encoder that can be patched. There's something called the NVFBC wrapper that can be also patched. I don't believe that helps us at all, and I haven't really gotten into any detail with it, but it's in there. If you're a Plex server person, you can leverage this for some other things. But as far as streaming and using the unlocked version of the DLL so that you can release more than 2 Nvidia encoders at a time, that's the part we're going to be looking at today. Tom, you have any comments before we dig into the nuts and bolts of this?
Keep going, Dave. You're doing great.
All right, we'll roll. Okay, it says here what the requirements are, etc. It's pretty much anything from Windows 7 on up. It tells you there's some links here. This is the developer page here where it tells you about your card. Here's a Geforce 710A through 810A. It's a Kepler chip. It's a GK208. It has this many chips, and the concurrent sessions, maximum number of concurrent sessions are listed here. And if you go down through all of these, you'll even find some things that don't have any. It's not applicable. You go on down, there's 2, there's 2, there's 2. Then you'll get into the Quadro section, and it'll tell you, it's unlimited and things along those lines. So this is kind of just a database, unrestricted here. Quadro P2000, unrestricted. There's no limit put on it other than your whole system and how it functions and how quick it is and how much it can handle. You can run 30 of them, but you might have really poor quality. So it's, you have to do the testing to find out. But that's what that page links to, is that section there. Your step-by-step guide. You're going to need, it says download and install the latest Nvidia driver supported by this patch, and I'll show you the list in just a second. Then you download this patch tool, the Win1337 apply patch tool. Then there's patches that you download. There's one for 64-bit and there's one for 32-bit. You can install both, or you can install just the one that you need. I'm going to install a 64-bit one today. And then they give you an example of all that. There's a video tutorial out on YouTube that you can take a look at, but they've made some changes. When the patch was first announced, as far as my knowledge of it, this was in the Streaming Idiots group, and it was a Polish streamer, Rodek Olsek, who put a link to this Nvidia patch, and that's what got me started on this. And I know Michael Graves and Irvin C. both were in that string of comments on that. And so when I first tried it, I couldn't get it to work, and then from a comment that Irvin gave me, I figured out how to make it go, and so I've been running it since last March. But they've made some changes now so that it's even simpler. There's things that we had to do to add another file, and I had to start with Windows, and I worked out how to make it run as a service so I didn't have to deal with it anymore, and that was fine. But now it's not necessary, so they've even simplified it from the original. But once you get down past the video, and this guy talks about that extra file here that you have to run, so it's a little bit of overkill, but it's still a good opportunity to take a look at how to do it. But we're going to do it here today. So here it shows your tables: Windows 10, Windows 7, 8, 8.1, the server versions that it runs on, etc. So you basically go to the section for what matches your system, and we're just going to be Windows 10 drivers here because that's what I have here. And what I have is a system that's loaded with one of these older drivers in here, and I'm going to update that today. And so what we need is to download the driver, the patch, and the patch tool. Those are the things that you need. So back in this section up here, step-by-step guide, you want to download the patch tool. And so that'll bring you to this page, and then you just download this RAR file. You may need something to open it with. If your Windows zip program doesn't open it, I use 7-zip myself. That's how I open these types of files. Then we can go back over to the same place. The next thing we want to do is get the patches. So we choose the version that we're going to download of the driver. They have the driver links here on the right hand side to the driver itself. So you click on that and it will download the driver for you. It takes some time, so we're not going to be downloading any drivers today. I already have that set. But then on the patches, instead of just left clicking on it, you right click on it and do a save link as. That's what you need to do, and that will give you the file you need. I would believe that most all of you are going to need the x64 library patch, but you can do both of them if you like. So what I've done is I have another system over here. This system is pretty old. It has a Gen 1 i7 in it. It has a GTX 650 Ti card in it. Yeah, graphics card in it. And we're gonna upgrade that today. That's what we're gonna do. So let me get my other mouse for this system, and I'll pop this up and go into downloads, and the driver that's currently installed on it is this 430.64. I'm going to install this 440.97. You can install the latest one if you want. You'll see some of the drivers that are listed are studio driver, and others are not labeled. You can put whichever one you want. The studio driver at this stage of the game doesn't provide any advantage to a vMix user, and it doesn't hurt a gamer. So kind of doesn't matter either way at this point. If at some point Martin works out something with Nvidia where they put a profile in there that works for vMix, then the studio driver might be the way to go at that point. That would be kind of cool. But here's what you do to install the driver. And you'll see I've already got the patch tool downloaded here, and within we'll download those other files in just a second. I'll put those in there. But what I want to do is do this upgrade here. Now this will take a little bit of time, obviously, but I want to walk you through the process of doing this, because you want to do a clean install, and I've got to go back over here to my 7-inch monitor to make it move forward for me, because it won't go if I don't.
And Dave,
so
while this is going,
sure.
While this is going, it's a good point to make that this whole driver process that you're doing right now is what we would do whenever we wanted to update our NVIDIA drivers ever, or if we're starting a new PC and we want to make sure we have the latest, greatest driver ever. And we don't want other stuff that NVIDIA would like to put on there, because it gets in the way and it takes up space and it slows things
Correct.
down, and it has unintended consequences. And you're going to show us how to do all of that without getting the stuff that we don't. We're going to get the good stuff, and we're not going to get any of the bad stuff. And you're going to show us how to do that, right? And this is applicable regardless of whether or not you do the whole patch encoder thing. This is just basically installing the NVIDIA driver for your PC, for your graphics card. Now, the drivers on that list weren't listed by the graphics card, but when I go into to NVIDIA drivers and do it by graphics card, I have to identify what card I am. Help me figure out why is there a disconnect there, or are we okay?
You're okay. You're okay. I've done it on laptops and desktops. There are notebook drivers. There are regular drivers. If you're more comfortable going to NVIDIA and going through their process of drilling down and finding the one that they're going to recommend, I don't think any of these drivers had the 650 Ti in mind when they were built, but they work. So okay. I didn't do anything special with that. I wanted to test what they were popping in to these links here. And if you look at the driver link, if you do a mouse over, it'll say international download .nvidia.com, Windows, blah, 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 desktop Win10 6.4 international WHQL RP.exe. So it's pretty standard, but they are desktop. And if you're doing a laptop, you might want to get the notebook driver. I don't think there's a huge difference in it, but sometimes you might run into a case where the desktop driver will not install on a notebook. I've seen that before. And so for laptop folks, I probably would recommend you just go to NVIDIA and drill down and find the one that works with your specific card that's built in. That would probably be the safest thing for you to do.
Got it.
I think it'll stop you. It'll save you time if you do it and you run into a piece where it says, "Oh, I can't install that. That's not the right driver for your card," or something to that effect.
Right. So what you're doing now is you have downloaded the driver and you're in the process of installing it.
Correct. And so this is once you launch it and it goes through its process of scanning your system and determining the compatibility and all that, we get this. And it's a very big deal here. Yes. And it's a very big decision. It defaults to NVIDIA graphics driver and Geforce Experience as to what it's going to install. You don't want that to install. You only want the NVIDIA graphics driver. So you want to tick NVIDIA graphics driver and not install the Geforce Experience. It interferes with vMix tremendously. Causes all kinds of issues with it, performance issues, etc. But that's really the only tick mark you have to set here. But there's one more step. We will agree and continue from that point on. And now it says Express install or custom. I don't choose Express. It just upgrades the existing drivers, and everything else that's in there, it keeps the file if it doesn't need to be upgraded for this.
But Dave,
I like a clean install.
It's recommended.
Go ahead.
It's recommended.
I know it is. So was Geforce.
Oh.
Experience.
So you're saying even though it's recommended, we're going to be more advanced than recommended.
We're going to be custom.
Ah, custom. I like that. Okay, proceed.
So we're going to click on custom and tick next. And here's here's why.
Go back. Note, some flashing might occur during the installation.
Now you just encouraged Tommy and got him
I was
off
just
on
going to
some
say,
other track. You should have never read that.
They knew Tommy was going to be going through this. This is hilarious. Okay, go next. I'm sorry.
Yep. All right. Just about as much attention as Rooney. Anyway, so we get to this. This is why we wanted custom, because we want to tick this to perform a clean installation, which means it uninstalls all the old driver bits.
Wait.
Everything old is gone. It's all new.
Wait.
I'm waiting.
Okay. I had a good conversation with Martin Sinclair, the developer of vMix, about this, and he says that PhysX system software is not needed for vMix.
Really?
Really. So
Cool.
we can uncheck that box, and then it'll just be less junk that our PC has to deal with.
Nice. See, I the genius learned something. What can I tell you?
There you go. Okay, now you can go next.
Okay, very good. So there we go. Now we all know all the secrets. So now we're going to hit next, and then this will begin to uninstall the old driver and install the new driver. And you may see Tommy on the screen at some point in time with a overcoat, trench coat on. So,
all right, so this is going to take just a minute.
So, yeah, we can shoot back over and join up.
Okay.
Meet up in the middle there while that's happening.
There was one other section where it says, the PhysX system software. 2 steps above that, it said the HD audio driver. And I never install that because audio is confusing enough without having other options for audio that are not going to be helpful. And so what that means is that audio driver that you're currently installing, when you go to audio inputs in vMix, you will have an option of that NVIDIA driver as an input, I think. And you will definitely have it as an option as an output. And I just say, don't even install it. Don't even be confused by it. Because I can't imagine anybody that's going to make good use of it. Now, that's just me. So there we go. Hold on, let's go full screen. You must be running 23. Look at all those buses. I don't see any. That would be an input. Let's take a look at the outputs.
Oops, sorry about that.
That's all right. We know we have to go to settings and then drag that menu in. There we go. It must be just on the audio output side. There you go. Look at all those NVIDIAs. Oh my gosh. There are 4 of them.
4 of them.
4 opportunities to go down the wrong path.
To tick the wrong box accidentally.
Yep. Get rid of those puppies. Get rid of those puppies.
Okay, well, we got rid of those puppies. We're still waiting on the driver to update. It's, like I said, it's a very old machine, but I figure if it'll work on this, it'll work on anything. And once we get this up with the before we patch it, once we get the new driver, I'm going to reboot that system and wait for it to come back up.
Okay.
So that'll
step
give you
1
the
is
cleanest
download, install
potential.
the NVIDIA driver. Just like you would normally. Nothing outrageous that we're doing here. We're just doing a normal process. Download, and you ought to do this periodically anyway, I think. I'm a big one on keeping my drivers updated, except maybe my Blackmagic drivers. Sometimes you find a good one of those, you want to stick with it. But so we're going to do a normal process of downloading and installing, updating our NVIDIA driver. We haven't done anything unusual. And then we're going to go back, and that new driver that we've just put in, we're going to patch it. What does patch mean, Dave?
Well,
I'm thinking
I don't
like a
know
Band-Aid.
if it's
But
like a flat tire, and you.
But there's also like a patch bay,
you put a patch on
where
it.
you plug things in and unplug them.
True. I'm not really sure what it does physically because I think it literally replaces a DLL. It's a DLL that has had the code modified in it, and I don't believe they're applying anything to the existing DLL. I think it's just replacing the existing DLL with the modified DLL that has the right code in it that unleashes all of your encoding capabilities.
Uh-huh.
That's what I believe it to be. I could be wrong.
Okay.
Have been before. Will be again.
All right.
So we're still zipping away over there. I've got a progress bar taking off like crazy over here on my little 7-inch monitor. Can't see that up in the NDI input that I'm bringing in there. So
Michael Graves is watching today, Dave, and he's got a question in the
good.
chat.
Okay.
And he says, the question is how much can that old GTX card actually do? Well, it's a 650, but it was the TI version of the 650, and it has a whopping 768. Yes, that's right. 768 CUDA cores. And it's below the vMix spec to begin with. I don't think vMix ever recommended the 650. So it's going to be interesting.
Well, I'm not going to run vMix on it today. I don't have vMix loaded on that system and never intended to do anything with it.
We're just going to do a test to see how many encoding sessions we can get going.
Exactly. And I'll show you a test on my current system that we're on here with right now. Matter of fact, while all that is happening, I can give you a kind of a quick look at a test here. So let's switch over to that while that's doing the upgrade. So this is a program, and I'll show you where to get that as well. Some files to download. It comes with a single batch file, and it's just called test_h264.bat. Well, I wasn't satisfied with that, and so I renamed the original file and I created other files. It has code in it, very simple FFmpeg type stuff in there, and this section in here where it has the pause and the CLS section in here, in between that it's start FFmpeg, and then it tells it to take this sample video file and start the encoder and do a slow transcode and give out the result of it, and it's going to convert the MP4 file to an MKV file. And the base version of this will do 5 encoders. That's what it's going to try to test and try to run. All this is for is to show you that you can run a concurrent number of encoders greater than 2. If your computer doesn't have the patch applied, it will at best run the 2 and show you that it's encoded the 2. And if it's more, if it's capable of being patched, it'll show you how many that you can run there. I've got some of them I set for H.264. I also set some for H.265 to test that as well. But this initial test here that I've got highlighted is the one that I'm going to run right now. And it will open up a window and it says, okay, I'm going to do this. This is what we want to do, and press any key to continue. So I press the key, and then it just opens up all of these encoding windows, and it's got 5 of them open. And they all look alike. In the lower right-hand corner, it says speed equals. And for mine, it says 3.7-ish, maybe 3.8. So running these 5 encoders, it was running 3 times. I don't know, faster than what? Faster than one encoder, running at 1. But now that we're all done, we hit that, hit the enter key, and it shows us all of those files that it just encoded. So we know that it ran 5 encoders simultaneously to do that. So if I press another key to continue, I can do that. So now I can go up here to this 25.bat. That runs 25 encoding sessions.
Holy cow.
Just to show you, 1 through 25. It's going to run 25 encoding sessions simultaneously.
You're crazy,
so I
man.
will start that the same way we did the others. Tom may disappear at any moment when I hit this button. But I have 5 over here right now. But my speed, I'm down to than 1. So it's a little overkill on this. I have a 1060 with 6 gigs.
I think it's affecting your audio, Dave.
Probably.
Yeah.
But that's okay. In a But this will give you a good of seeing what your system can handle. I wouldn't like to do any more than speed was less 1. If that speed is 1 point something, that I would be your sweet spot of them. Numbers. So I mean, this is 20. When am I ever going to need 5 encoders? Somebody posted when I put it out there that I wondered what a group of video could do with something like this. The first comment was, "Hello, Nvidia patch, meet Mr. Mortar." I don't use multi-core for that we do in our business, but you can enable an encoder all 4 of your multi-core recordings now, plus stream to 3 places at a time, plus 2 regular recordings. So, you know, on the robustness of everything system, but that's ability now to your so again, you have to express this and to see how each thing affects the other. I said this is only running at 1/3 speed. It's about half done of encode these 5. So that's a bit much for my system.
Yes. So if they're not all done, Dave, you may want to just go ahead and kill them off because they're making.
I got 25 of them.
Yeah. Might take you a second to kill off 25 of them. Holy cow.
Hey, this is what happens when you work without a net.
There is no net on this one, folks. Dave and I have not
net.
practiced this. I wasn't aware that he was going to be breaking all these laws that he's breaking, so I washed my hands of this thing right now. I had nothing to do with it. I know nothing. Know nothing.
Sergeant Schultz.
That's right. That's right. A couple comments in the chat that Michael Graves says that a patch is to alter the driver. It could be by replacing a library or even arbitrarily altering some bytes in an existing file. So a patch is just basically a way to alter the driver. It makes people very impressed if you use those terms in polite company. And let's see, he was also saying that he thought the baseline spec was a GTX 750. And for vMix it is. The 650 is just what Dave happens to have available to test on today. We talked about maybe doing it on one of my systems here, but since I'm doing the live stream, we didn't want to have anything kind of go while we were doing that. So there we go.
I'm working on.
And I want to know who Annette is. That's the.
Well, you know, she's a troublemaker. There's no doubt. So.
Okay.
I have to start back up my deal there so I can show you the screen.
If you're just joining us, wondering what in the heck are these guys talking about, we're hacking Dave's system today. He's got a couple of PCs over there. One in particular, we have downloaded a new Nvidia driver for his Nvidia GTX 650 Ti graphics card, or at least that's the chipset on the graphics card. And he is going through the process of hacking it and unlocking the restriction that Nvidia has put on most consumer-grade graphics cards of only allowing 2 encoding sessions. And so he was just demonstrating just a few minutes ago ones that he's already hacked, that he showed first 5 and then 25 encoding sessions, basically where he was just using the FFmpeg encoder, which vMix uses, and taking a simple video file and translating that into another kind of video file. And so that would be an encoding session to do that. And he had 5 encoding sessions, and they ran at 3 times live speed. Then he had 25 encoding sessions that ran at 1/3 live speed, and it affected his audio a little bit. And while we were doing that, we're waiting on his second machine, which was installing the new Nvidia driver. This is the GTX 650. Dave, what was the graphics card that you were just showing us that you got the 25 encodes on?
That was a GTX 1060 with 6 gigs.
1060 with 6
MSI.
gigs. Okay.
Yeah, MSI, I believe.
All right. All right.
Well, we are ready to proceed, if you're ready.
So we're going to go back to the GTX 650.
Yep. And I'm just showing you here in Control Panel, the driver that I installed was this 44097 here. That's what I just installed. Okay, so now we need to go back to our GitHub page. And make sure we're in the Windows section. I've already downloaded the file to apply the patch here, the Win 1337 Apply Patch Tool. Now we need to get the patch files, the 1337 files from the group here. I installed 440.97 here.
Yep.
So all I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on the 64-bit library patch, and I'm going to save link as, and it's coming up here. I'm going to just drop it right in the same folder here. I don't want it to have that extra bit in it there.
And that's only there because you've downloaded it once before.
That is correct.
Yeah.
I downloaded it on this system into the root of the download folder, and I just didn't want it there. So it's called NVENC ODE API 64.1337. That's the name of it. So let's go look in that folder. and I put it inside of the apply patch deal here. So there it sits right there.
All right.
So this is what we load. We load Batman here.
That looks pretty spooky.
What we do, yeah, it's spooky, all right. So we launch that. Hopefully it'll show up on the screen somewhere. Might have lost everything.
I'm glad that's his system, not mine.
Well, that's why it's the old system. It's a paperweight. I know what the problem is. It's the intermediate screens that you don't see. Turn your screen black, and it's, do you want to allow this app to run blah, blah, blah? That's all it is. Okay, so this is what we get here. So now it's pointing to a previous file. It normally just comes up with a blank here. So I'm going to drill to where I have this file put, and it's in downloads, and it's in the same folder with the apply patch. That's where I put it. You put it wherever you want for doing your testing and patching. So now I choose it from here, and I hit OK or open. And then it says, now what it wants me to do is it wants me to show it this file, this DLL file. That DLL file, if you're doing 64-bit, lives within your Windows System 32 folder. So we need to go to Windows. We need to scroll down to System 32 and pop this in. Now, if you're doing, don't get confused. This could be confusing, but if you're installing the 64-bit, which is what I'm installing, you need to go to the System 32 folder in the Windows directory. If you're installing the 32-bit version, which is the same name except it says 32.dll on it, you need to go into the syswow64 folder. So 64 goes into the 32 folder, and 32 goes into the 64 folder. Say that 3 times really fast before you have coffee in the morning. Well, here's the cool thing about it. When you click on the System 32 folder and open it up, you see all these folders. You say, oh, okay, well, what do I... Well, it's only looking for this one DLL. So when you scroll down, there's only one file that's going to be there. Only one file, and it's the file that we want. And so now you select that file in the window, now that we've got it selected. And you say open, and now it has the path, and now it has the file, and now you can say patch. File, encode, blah, 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 patched. So maybe it did inject code in it because it's a 1337 file and it's looking for a DLL. So maybe it adds something to that DLL based on Michael Graves' definition he gave us a little earlier.
Okay.
So now that we have this, we go back over here, and I've already downloaded the Encoder concurrent test. And we're just going to run the simple 5 test on
We don't
this.
have to reboot or anything?
I don't know if we have to or not. We're going to try it and see. Oh, look at there. Boom. All of those timed out. So I've only got 1 running right now. So yeah, I probably need to do a reboot for it to take. Either that or you wait. Sometimes it'll just refresh itself and remember. So let's... Yeah, it only was working on 1 that time. So I will do a little reboot over here after the patch. And we will wait for it to come back. Don't try this stuff at home, folks.
At least
and
don't
certainly
do it in the
don't try it on a live stream.
Yeah,
don't do it on a live stream.
Oh my
At
goodness.
home is okay, but not on a live stream. I know it sounds complicated and convoluted and all that, but it really isn't that big a deal. You're just downloading a driver. You download the 2 patch files for it if you want the 32 and the 64-bit, whichever one or both. You download the patch apply tool. You upgrade your driver, making sure you untick everything except the driver in it, which means you're going to have to do a custom install and not install Geforce on top of that as well. And get all that done. Now you come back in and you apply whichever patch or both patches that you want, and then do a reboot so that you can come back in and demonstrate your success. Or not. There we go. Now we're back.
Okay, while you're getting that set, I want to give a big shout out to all of you that have just joined us, including Martin K. Glad to have Martin on board.
Martin K is here. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm in trouble.
Yeah. He's I don't know that he's taking notes of what we're doing so much as taking notes of everything we're screwing up. But that's okay.
Well, he's got a lot of notes.
Yeah, that's right.
You better have a big notebook and a sharp pencil.
Are you testing again?
Yeah, see? Yeah, I was testing again and it failed again. So what we're finding here is that this driver is not, and the driver and patch is not working with this card, because it was working this morning with the previous driver I had on here.
Okay.
So we're finding out there are some limitations, especially with these early version cards that we're looking at here.
Right.
So definitely, I wouldn't go with anything less than a 750 to try this. And your mileage may vary with the driver as well. Only did one.
Well,
It only did one, not even 2.
Can you apply the patch that you had previously applied?
I'd have to reinstall the driver.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. If you have happened what just happened, you've got the whole process to go through again. So the driver, installing the driver, is obviously the tricky piece.
I did notice when you were identifying the DLL that it was a different name than the one that the patch tool was looking for.
Well.
And I was going to say something, but then I thought, I don't know what I'm talking about.
Well, there were capital letters. There's capital letters in the file folder where it is, and it makes it look like it's different. And plus, the file that we are patching with is .1337, and the file that we're patching is .dll.
Right.
So it'll be named differently or look differently.
Yeah, I think one started with an A and one started with an N. And so we can go back in the recording from this and see just how.
Yeah, I'm looking at this and I'm seeing that. See, I've already patched this, so when I click on it to patch the file, it tells me that the offset is wrong. It's not right. So I patched the file.
Okay.
And I don't know. Well, we'll go back to the recordings and see what actually took place.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
and,
that's the ticket.
And anybody watching on YouTube right now can drag that back and see where we were to see if we're right.
See how I Scrooged it up.
Now, Byron's here. Welcome, Byron. Byron says, okay, I'm not a tech head, but what does this do for vMix, and what changes do we have to do in vMix?
Well, he just arrived then. That's what
he just arrived.
You're saying.
That's right. That's
right.
Right.
He said, start over. He's like, who's that guy? Ignacio that says, I just got here. What did I miss?
Did I miss anything? That's right. That's right.
Yeah. I know that guy. Come on now.
So, Byron, I'll give you the answer because I'm not a very smart man, and if I can understand it, then I can explain it. But what I understand is that you don't have to do anything in vMix in one sense. vMix doesn't care how many encoders you have available, except that vMix can't use more than what's available. So right now, your consumer grade video card with the Nvidia chipset on it has 2 encoders available. And what we're doing is we're unlocking that so that you have multiple encoders available, which means when you want to stream to one destination, you can tick the little use hardware encoder box in vMix. And when you want to stream to 2 destinations, you can tick the little hardware encoder box in vMix, and that's your 2 encoders. But if you're going to a 3rd destination, this hack will allow you to tick the hardware encoder box in vMix. Oh yeah, Dave's bringing it up. Let me make it go full screen here. And you can see Dave is illustrating, like Vanna White, how to tick and untick that tick box. Stream 1 quality you're using on that one, Dave. Yeah, there you go. Now you can tick it. And so he's got 3 of them ticked. Now, in the real world, vMix would allow you to tick them, but it just wouldn't be able to do it. It would throw an error at some point and say, can't do this. But you can also use a hardware encoder to do 1 or more recordings in the recorder section of vMix. Dave, that's your cue to bring up the recorder settings. Dave and I have not practiced this in advance. And you see in the top left-hand corner, you have two abilities to record. And if you do it on the MP4, you can use the hardware encoder, and then go back to number 1 and click MP4 and use the hardware encoder. Now we can use 5 encoders, 2 on recording and 3 on streaming. And if we had the multi-quarter available, there's the multi-quarter. We can use the hardware encoder. Yeah, there it is in the top right quadrant. And we can use that for as many as are. Now we'll have to do some real-time, real-life testing to see just how much effect this is really going to have. Because if Encoder is running at half speed, obviously that's not going to be effective. So there will be a limit somewhere. You can't just have unlimited encoding sessions because your card is not unlimited. But my guess is that
it seems to be mostly beneficial to MP4 and streaming.
Yes.
Because the other formats that we have don't have any tick mark for hardware encoder, so
right.
it wouldn't necessarily apply there. But on your streaming, it does.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. All right. Excellent. Excellent. All right. Well, I can't wait to go try this. Now, the card that and you actually showed me in the pre-show, you showed me that 650 card doing 5 streams, so I believe you that it works. We just had a little glitch here somewhere. Am I going to break my card if I do this? Is my card going to overheat? Is it going to throttle the GPU in my card? Is it going to explode? Do I need to put a cooler on it? I mean, come on, Dave, spill the beans.
There are no beans. There's nothing to spill.
There's nothing to spill. It's not going to break anything to do this.
It'll all just go. All we're changing is that DLL or those DLLs in the driver set. And if you have a problem like I just did with that driver that we just did, then I go back and I install a different driver. Or I use the drill down method within NVIDIA's website to find as close to exact driver family that I can find for it. You always want to make sure that number, though, shows up in the list of systems drivers that they have patch files for. I mean, if you had a 441.42 Geforce, there's no patch for that. It only goes 441.41.
Right.
So make sure that the number that you're looking for is in here. And I know in the past we've seen scenarios with Windows updates where it kills a driver, and so you find a version that you really like. I mean, they're going back as far as 417. in this file, and the other file that I talked about that having to run at startup before the encoders were activated isn't necessary anymore. So they've gone back and they've patched all of this and made it all up to date with the new deal where you don't have to use that extra step that was in the original that some of us started working with. So yeah, it's they're really working hard to keep this stuff up to date. And like I said, even the Windows stuff as well. And most of these guys are Linux people from the beginning of this. So
right.
It's a really good service these guys have provided for us. So
Guy is saying that he's got an Asus GTX 1060 and he's got 10 simultaneous encodes at a speed of 1.9.
Wow, nice. Very nice.
So that means he could conceivably get maybe even up to 15 at 1 point something.
What you'll find, or what I found in working with this, is that let's say you run it. I've set it so it would just run one at a time, and I did a one and saw what the time was on it, and it said 15 times or something like that.
Right.
And I said, okay, so it should run 15.
Right.
If I'm going to get it down to 1. Well, when
Right.
I ran 15, the speed was more like 1.8.
Really?
So you can do the math. Yeah, you can do the math, but you get a little edge with the math. If you ran it with 1 and it said 25, you might be able to even do 30 with it.
Ha!
And they all come in at 1. So
Well,
you get a little buffer even doing the math.
I mean, in the vMix world, how many would you need in a worst case scenario, Dave?
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying is like I don't think we're going to need. I think even if you had 5 or 6,
Yeah.
like we talked about earlier, and even if you're doing your multi-quarter, a lot of the guys that are doing multi-quarter are doing high-end files. So the encoder doesn't help them unless they're doing MP4s.
Right.
But they might, which that's where you could offload and help you there. So there's 4
Right.
there if you're going to do 4 camera that.
Right.
Then if you've got 3 streams going, that gives you 7. And then if you record 2 more, that brings you up to 9. So if you've got 10 encoders, you could have vMix maxed out, and you could still kick off a session with an encoder like an FFmpeg to convert a file to something else if you needed it to bring it in or do something else with it. So it's nuts.
One thing that we haven't said in this whole process, with all the disclaimers that we've said, at least I don't think we've said it, that vMix does not support this officially in any way, shape, or form. They will not help you troubleshoot it if there's a problem. They will not help you diagnose it. It won't violate your license agreement, but don't count on them to help you stumble through this unauthorized, unlicensed, unregulated hack that Dave is 100% responsible for. It's just not going to happen. Not going to happen. So I got
well,
that
and we have
email
a bunch of customers, Tom, and this is not installed on any customer system.
Right.
Just isn't. So
Well, then they may not have the need for it.
that's true, but I would be very hesitant to install it on a customer system because I want to have as many systems out there that are the same
Yes.
as possible,
And bulletproof.
with as much of the hardware the same as possible. It's just so much easier to support.
Yes, I agree.
So
Well, Dave, you are a prince. And when you get to NAB, I am going to buy you a root beer.
oh, okay,
I mean, the good stuff, man. The IBC root beer.
yeah.
Not to be confused with that conference in Amsterdam. Yeah. Well, sir, I think we've done all the damage we can do for today. There'll be a lot of fallout from this. But I would encourage you, if you're watching, to try it out. Post your results in the Streaming Idiots Facebook group. If you're not a member of the group, just go to just go to Facebook and do a search for Streaming Idiots, and then ask to join the group. We'll let you join. We let about 3 out of every 5 people join. So it's not a wide open. Anybody gets in. We want to see that you're doing some live streaming and that you have an interest in that, and that you don't just want to come in and fill up the Facebook group with a bunch of games that you want viewers on. But we'd love to hear your results if they were different from this. If you have questions about how to do this, post those in the Streaming Idiots group, and Dave and I and others that are even more knowledgeable than us will attempt to help you out. And we'll see if we haven't found an interesting little hack that here's an application that I see, Dave, is that if somebody's doing a lot of NDI, which is CPU, just CPU, and they're doing some hardware encodes, and then they're doing CPU for their other encodes, that they can pick up some CPU headroom by offloading some of their CPU encodes back onto the GPU, because you're allowing more encoders there. And so if you're, kind of a high-end guy and you're stretching it and really pushing it, and you want to do more NDI than you can already, I mean, this is where that kind of thing would really have a real-life impact, I think. And then, of course, for those of us that would like to just be able to, do a FFmpeg encoding session using the GPU on more than 2, and maybe stretch some more life out of our older hardware. That's going to be a good one. But remember, this is not approved. This is not supported. You are on your own, except I'll give you Dave's email address and home phone number so you can call him when it doesn't work. Yeah, right. Okay. Well, sir, let's close out the show. We'll go into post-show and take some questions, and then we'll wrap up. We're way over time. My apologies on that, but it was just too good to try to trim back. When you've got the real guru here, you got to take advantage of him, because you may not get him again until spring. He and Kenny are going to be hosting the Streaming Idiots meetup at NAB Livestream. Yes, you've already agreed to that. Don't give me that look like, what are you talking about? And so...
yeah, but has Kenny agreed? That's
yes,
what Kenny...
I think he has. I've got an email or a text message or something somewhere, and I'm holding him to it. And this will be the third annual hosting of this. Yes, that's right. 3 times. And we're breaking that 2 encoder limit. Yep, right here. And so it's going to be a lot of fun. It'll be a good meetup. It'll be at Scott Whitney's studio again in Las Vegas, Podworks Studio, and we'll be live streaming that, as well as having interviews of folks that are there at the party. I think it's just be a lot of fun, and I hope if you don't have any vacation plans in the spring, that you'll plan on coming to NAB. NAB starts on Sunday this year. And the Streaming Idiots meetup will be on the second night, so it'll be on Monday night, not Tuesday night. And we'll get you more details as time goes on. Yeah, and if you want limousine service to the party, just let me know. Dave and Kenny are going to be handling the limos. Yeah, Dave's got the bright blue one, and Kenny's got the bright orange one. So there we go. It's all right there. Yeah, and if you believe that, yeah. So hang around for a second. We'll be right back with the post show. So don't go away. are done. Yes, indeedy. All right. All right, sir. Let's pull up the chat, shall we? And let's see if anybody's got it. If you've got some questions, you asked your question a while ago. I see we've got at least 7 pages of chat in the vMix social page. You may want to go ahead and post those up again so that we can see them.
Well, I know Guy was posting that he got 13 went fine, 14 was on the edge, 15 ended up being less than 1 when he was doing the concurrent tests. And also, I wanted to give Guy a shout out because he's the one that pointed me to that concurrent testing script and the page where that was on. I had not seen that before, but he had located it and popped it out there. So I've got links to all this stuff. I don't know where we want to put those, Tom. If you want to drop that stuff at the bottom of the YouTube video or something like that.
Yeah, why don't we just put them everywhere? I'll put them in the permanent YouTube link and drop them into the various Facebook links so that folks have them. And, you know, the caveat is always that things could change tomorrow. What worked today may not work tomorrow. Nvidia could pull the plug somehow, somewhere. I mean, I don't think so. But what do I know? All right, Rich says he's confused. Can we start over?
See, I knew he had some weird comment.
Yeah, Michael.
Well, he's an author now, you know.
Oh, that's right. That's right. He's an author. He hasn't.
He's working on it.
He's still working on it. He hasn't asked me to write the foreword, so I guess I'll just have to wait. Michael
He'll
Graves
have
says,
you write the backward.
Yeah, not for the uninitiated. Your mileage may vary. You must be this tall to ride. That's right. Absolutely. No guarantees on this one. It's just a matter of, you know, is it going to be a tool that you can use and it will be worth the fact that it's unauthorized and unsupported to be able to do that? So Byron's got a question, Dave.
I see that. vMix won't stop you from doing anything. vMix, it will use, if you have a hardware encoder available, vMix will use it if you tell it to use it. If you only have 2, you get stopped at 2. If you have whatever, it's going to stop you there. The thing about this is, once you apply this patch, your limitations are really the limitations of the chip itself and your amount of memory and your processing and all that stuff. So you definitely have to do some testing with this stuff to find out what's what.
Yeah, you know, Dave, that's a great point, because vMix is now once you unlock it, vMix will let you use 20. It won't work because you may not have enough horsepower, but once you take away all the safeguards that NVIDIA put in there in limiting it to 2, and remember, each one you add, the slower the encode gets. At some point, it's not fast enough for vMix to do what it needs to do. So we definitely need some
this chart
testing.
is the one that I referenced way early, and I went in and I checked off my GK106 Kepler first generation card, which is what my card is on that 650 Ti, and it shows you, and this is Plex Media Server transcoding information, but it should give you a good sense. All of these cards listed here in the diagonals for this, they all show you 5 as far as transcode streams, simultaneous transcode streams. So if that's kind of what they're saying that they believe the max is on that, I would not go to the max. I would probably never do more than 4 in that case. I might even go less than that, but you'd have to test and see what's the quality of your stream, what does your recordings look like, is everything working well, or are things bumping heads? What are your statistics within your vMix window as far as render time, you know, those kinds of things. You have to do some testing to see what's actually taking place. And you might be maxing your GPU out.
Uh-huh.
So,
all right, so Dave, I'm building a new system for the studio here, and it's got a Geforce RTX 2060, which uses the TU 106 chip. Can you find that on this chart?
all right.
See?
Yeah, we'll see if it's there or not.
The TU
106.
106. Yeah.
So that is, and you'll see the other cards it's used in. See, like this Quadro K4000, 3 gigs.
Right.
It's the same thing as is in the GTX 645, the 650 Ti. Nope, excuse me. I didn't untick my other one. That's the only place it's used. Okay, there we go. The 2060 and the 2070, 8 gig. You can do 20 transcode streams with Plex. That
Right.
doesn't mean vMix will do the same thing, but it's just some point of reference for you.
Right.
So it's saying 20. And a guy was running a 1060, and he got like 14 before it dropped below 1. So I would say on a card like that, you should be able to do 10 all day long and not have to be concerned about it overloading your card's capabilities.
There
But
you go.
again, that's all theory. You've got to throw it in there. You've got to do what you're going to do. We talked about having potential of having 9 within vMix with all those options that we came up with 4 multi-quarter and all the recording and all the streaming that you could do, up to 9, where you could enable the hardware encoding with it. So if you're going to have 9 and you got a 1060 card or a 2060 card, you should have some pretty good space there. I think mine is like a GP 106 or something like that, Tom. In my 1060, the 1066 gigs, and there's and there's a couple of versions of that here. That's the 3 gig. You'll notice the difference between the 1060 GP 106 with 3 gigs versus the GP 106 with 6 gigs is twice as many.
Wow.
So memory definitely has something to do with it.
Okay. And in the
But they
vMix
compare
world,
the 1060 with the, yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say that the 1060 6 gigs is a comparable Quadro P3000 as far as encoding chip stuff,
Right.
power, I guess
Gotcha.
is the way to put it. So that's the equivalent there.
The other thing that's an unknown in the vMix world is vMix competing for some of this memory with these unlocked encoders? Are they going to both try to use the same memory? So there may be some limitations there that if you're going to go for 10 encodes, then you're going to limit vMix's ability to use the GPU for some of the things vMix wants to use it for that have nothing to do with encoding.
Right.
So the proof will be in the pudding. Yes. Jacob is saying that, and this is a good tip, to optimize performance in the NVIDIA control panel, that you want to go to the Manage 3D settings and set the power management mode to prefer maximum performance. That is true.
Right. And every time you install a new driver, you have to go in and do that.
And do the patch. Not only do the patch, but to do the control panel. That's right.
Correct. Now, if you don't do a clean install, you might not have to go back in and change that optimal power scenario in the control panel. I'm not sure about that, but that's something to, if you do an upgrade, always go back and check it. But I like doing the clean installs. I like replacing all of the old files with new files. I just do. And that again, it gives you, like you were saying, Tom, the opportunity to untick a couple of those other items that you don't want installing and giving you extra problems potentially down the road. At least just sorting through stuff, having lesser options to have to pick from.
That is exactly correct.
It's like a pre-flight checklist. There's just things that you do, doesn't matter. You do it again. You check it again. You go through it again. You double and triple and quadruple check to make sure that everything is as it should be.
That's right.
Don't do like we did on the show. Do it the right way.
Okay. Well, sir, let's see what other questions. Guy says, like vMix GT titles. Yeah, we were referring to the discussion about vMix using the GPU card memory versus the encoder using some of the memory, and it could impact the use of vMix GT titles. And I know that vMix will load other kind of video elements in memory too. And so if you're using more memory for these encodings, then less is available to vMix. And not sure what happens when they both want to compete for the same pretty girl at the same time. Exactly what's going to happen. Tim's here. Glad to have you, Tim. If you can't show up on time, just show up whenever you can. That's right. Now, Guy says this is useful with NTR streaming also. I have no clue what NTR streaming is, at least not that I know of. Dave, do you know?
Yeah, that's stuff from Garanon Apps.
Okay.
He has the NTR streaming, the SRT streaming. He's got a couple of free tools out there that convert. One of them converts NDI to SRT, and it converts NDI to RTMP, and then the other way around as well. So he has a couple of nice little tools out there like that. So it would you can enable hardware encoding on those.
Oh, I like it. I like it. So this is not just a vMix hack. That's very good.
Correct.
And Fast Eddie says he sees the chance to encode a full bitrate ladder to upload to the origin server for CDN pulls. That's what you were talking about earlier, Dave. The multi-bit
Exactly.
Yep.
Crazy pipe dream thinking of stuff that's so far out of my box, I wouldn't have any idea what he's talking about.
All right. Andrew is asking from Australia, does the reserve graphics memory get affected by this hack? And he's asked that directly to you, Dave.
Why would he ask me? Why would I know something like that? Come on.
Well, because he knew I would know the answer.
When you're talking about reserved graphics memory, you're talking about GPU mem, that set amount of cache, I'm assuming. Nothing should be affecting that whatsoever. That's set aside, period. What we're doing is we're enabling more encoder sessions to be able to run at the same time. And you got to remember, when you look at the equivalent Quadro card that Nvidia has put out, it has the same chip on it. They're just, in their drivers, they're not throttling it at all or limiting it in any way. In most cases, they have unrestricted as far as the card is concerned. And it's really the driver that is the restriction on using multiple encoders. And so by patching the DLL, we're telling the card, you can run as many as we ask you to run, which is what happens with a Quadro card. So a Quadro card doesn't have any effect on your GPU mem, so this shouldn't either.
All right.
Yeah, he said yes, that's what he was talking about.
Yep.
Yeah, that I wish we had some way to set aside a little more of that sometimes. The only thing that we can do with that is enable the input, that performance mode tick that you've got in the performance box there, where it says enable it's the high input performance mode. That just requires less cache, and you get that cache back as far as the GPU mem errors coming on. We had a church that was getting, it was tagging it every now and then and hitting 100%, and I went in and I ticked that, and we went back in and got everything going again, and it was only running at about 50% at that point.
Wow.
So
Very
it
cool.
makes a difference. It's that reserved amount of cache it uses to queue up that stuff that Tom was talking about earlier. And if you get too many things in the queue, then that thing starts hitting and causing performance issues. But by telling it, I don't want that queue to be so big, move the stuff out of there quicker, don't cache so much, you get a little more breathing room with that, and it doesn't impact you the same way. And you know, you're running a 1060 card and you're running 3 cameras and, you know, 15 overlays and, you know, 4 or 5 video files or whatever, vice versa. It's not that big a deal. Easy enough.
Michael has a nice kind of a summing up comment there, Dave, that says the number of allowed NVENC sessions is defined in the driver. We're just patching the driver to get around that. So we're not changing anything in the hardware.
Exactly.
We're just simply taking the 2 and we're erasing it and putting in a dash so that it can have as many as it wants. Which means,
Pretty
you know,
much.
we don't
Sounds
have
good.
protection. 2 offers us protection. The manufacturer says 2 is all you're going to get, and we can guarantee that 2 is going to work great. vMix says we love 2. 2 is going to work great. But when you take the guardrail off, when you take off the training wheels, you know, anything can happen, and you definitely want to test this stuff. Not during a regular, important, paid-for broadcast when you're doing something on behalf of a client or important on behalf of yourself. You want to test it other times, like on a Streaming Idiot show. Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly.
The perfect environment for such foolishness.
That's right. That's right. So, Dave, let's have a little plug here for the world of live streaming. If somebody wants to watch that show, that is Mondays
Sorta.
at 3 o'clock Eastern. And you can pick it up
Sorta.
in the Facebook group for World of Live Streaming. You can also go to worldoflivestreaming.whatever and find a link to it there as well.
We're actually getting ready to go into the end of the year break. We're going to be doing a Christmas show, and then we'll be coming back slowly, ramping back up. So the best thing to do is to go to Facebook and search for World of Live Streaming and join up there, and then you'll get notifications when we're ready to roll. So
There you go. Can't beat that. Can't beat that. All right. Hey, Dave, I want to try one more thing before we get off.
All right.
I want you to turn off your chroma key
Why?
because I want to put
Killing
something in your background.
You want a chroma key?
I want to chroma key your background. Let me see if I can find what I'm looking for.
Okay.
Okay.
Good luck with that.
All right. Sit tight just a second. Let's see if we can find what we're looking for here. And graphics. And Charles Projects. There we go. There we go. There we go. So we're going to take you, and we're going to do a color key here. Let's see what we can get. 1 second. Be patient now. Be patient. There we go. 47.
Well, while we've been doing all this, I went back.
Whoops. We just we just cut off Dave. Hold on. Don't go anywhere, Dave.
I'm not doing anything.
There he is. We got him back. How about that?
So I'm doing 5. I'm doing 5 right now on the system that we patched earlier that didn't work.
Yeah.
There they are running, and they're running at about 0.5. For 5 of them on the 650 card. But I did try it before I patched it, and it only ran 1. It only ran 1 encoder, so that's what happens when it's not working, when it's not patched well or something.
Gotcha.
But yeah, this one at 5 is only running at 0.5.
Got it. Got it. Well,
the place where you go to download the script for concurrent testing of your transcode limits, there's also a transcoding patch tool there. I suggest you don't mess with that, because I believe when it was built for probably the oldest driver that they have available, and it's fixed within it, and you just run it and it does everything for you. It's simple, but it is only going to give you, I think, 417.71 as for being patched. So you'd have to go back and download the oldest driver that's out there for that patch tool to work. But down below that, they have a window with the script, and then right above that window, there's a link to download that script. And I believe we provided a link to the download link itself. So you can pull that down by itself. But if you go to the page, you'll see all the other stuff as well.
Gotcha. Mike Nelson said he did a patch on a system with a GTX 650 Ti, which is what you have, and it runs 4 now. That's
well, I'm running 5, and it's still hobbling along at 0.5 with 5 of them.
Gotcha. Well, Dave, again, I can't thank you enough for taking time out today to come on and play in our little tech sandbox a little bit and have fun and show people how to break things. And remember, folks, that we are not responsible, or at least I'm not. Dave is, but I'm not responsible for anything that you do that doesn't work right. So just remember, you are on your own. You are on your own.
There's the proof. I just ran 5 encodes on that 650 Ti.
There you go. Can't get any more authentic than that. Right there.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Well, we're going to let the live stream kind of roll out, and Dave and I are going to have a private word here. Not sure it's for me or for him, but we'll see. But we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in.